All right, welcome back to this edition of Capital Talk right here on Capital Update. Now we're continuing where we left off with the Managing Director of Mydin Mohamed Holdings Berhad, Dato' Amir Ali. Picking up from where we left off with regard to Mydin now, we were talking initially about, assessing the market and strengths of Mydin. Now let's move along from that. Now since Mydin is so well established in the industry, what's next for Mydin? Are there any other opportunities for Mydin to sort of further expand, on what it has achieved so far?
Man is, as a person, is always want to do more in whatever you do. Mm-hmm. Okay. So as we grow, of course, there's a lot of things that we can do. We can open more stores. Mm-hmm. We have not opened a store in every town that I can think of. That is very important, because if we can have enough stores all over Malaysia, enough Mydin all over Malaysia, enough Kedai Raya satu Malaysia which we operate, right. I think that would be the ultimate goal, of course. Mm-hmm. Then you can move overseas. People always ask me why you should go overseas. Indonesia, China, everybody is going everywhere. Why not? Yeah. And I always ask, why? If you have enough opportunities in your country to grow first, because you know your country best before you go out somewhere else.
Right.
And there are, of course, bigger players there. It's not to say that you're scared of bigger players, but if you build that strength, then you go overseas. Then you can compete. Right.
This is coming back to what you were saying about building your base all the way. Even though you're very well established now, there's always room to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Even though you're very well established now, there's always room to, build that base even more before you even think about venturing overseas. In fact, so you're more into making sure that locally everything is pretty much, set before you even head in that direction of going overseas. Am I correct in sort of?
Correct. Right. When you open your stores, when you open whatever, you're contributing to GNI. The government always says we want GNI, right. Increase in GNI. People tend to forget that if you have a foreign hypermarket coming in, it does not become GNI accretive. When right. It's a local player, it's GNI accretive. So if you want positive growth, you want positive GNI, right. You only can depend on your locals to give you that right. Positive GNI. This is very important, And of course, we want to get ourselves stronger before we go off to some other country. Right. And there's a lot more things you can do. One is not only that you open up more stores, but you can sell more local products. Being a local player, you tend to understand the local SMEs, for example, yeah. Right? So we understand SMEs. They are selling the budu, the belacan. If you want the budu and the belacan, where do you find? You can find in a Mydin store.
Nice.
But you might not be able to find it in a foreign hypermarket, for example.
Yeah, I would agree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the small things that not only a customer would want, but it works to our advantage. We understand that consumer needs, plus it gives us also the niche in the market. How do we compete with our competitors? One of those things is we understand the local taste. So that way gives us that added advantage.
Right.
It's very important when you have, what is your niche? If everybody sells the same thing, it's going to be the same thing, right?
Correct.
So what is the niche? This is one of the niches that we have in Mydin.
Okay. So basically you've got locals actually coming in, you've got your local SMEs coming in and sort of saying, can we sell this stuff in Mydin or something like that? Do you get people like that actually coming up to you and saying that?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time. And we are very supportive of this thing, because we started down there, end of the day. So everybody starts somewhere, and that's where we started. Right. And we always want to give them the opportunity. But SMEs must remember, we are giving you a space to sell your product. We are not selling your product.
Right. It's just a space for you to sell.
We only give you a
right.
shelf space.
Right.
We will always give you the best shelf space. That means eye level, entry level, right. And gondola. We give the shelf space. But whether the product sells or not, it's always up to you. Right. Because it's your product, your advertising, your merchandising that sells the product.
In fact, right.
Your marketing. Right. We are just giving you empty shelves.
So it's like you're more like a medium pretty much for them to sort of...
we get the customers in, you make sure they buy your product, not something else.
Right.
But I find that the local SMEs are very enterprising, a lot of products, and they have good quality products. It's just the branding, a perception that a so-called produced by a multinational sounds better, brands out, it stands out better, so it must be better, right. But not necessary.
Right.
Not necessary.
Okay. Now, given the fact that you've got a slump in the global economy right now, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit because it does, in some way or another, affect us. We've got a bit of a slump in our, global economy. You've got the Eurozone debt crisis. You've got the slowdown growth in China, and of course, U.S. Third round of quantitative easing on top of that. So, I mean, would you say that Mydin has got a few challenges to face? I mean, what would you say? Would you say that there are some challenges that Mydin is facing at this point?
Those challenges will be good for the country. That's definitely good for the country. You got QE going in, third one. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, US dollar will weaken. And ringgit will strengthen. Yeah. And Malaysia imports a lot of products from China, whatever, and it, of course, is denominated in US dollars.
Right.
Products become cheaper in the market. We can sell more. It's good for business.
Right.
Good for business, of course. When you have stronger currency, it's also good for business. But whatever we do in this world, whether it's for the country, for the person, it must be done slowly.
Right.
If the US dollar wants to strengthen, be it. But let's make sure it's slow and progressive so people can adjust. That is the main thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, having a stronger currency, if we can remove the subsidy mentality, remove the subsidy from the economy, that will help the economy in the long run.
Okay. Because, I mean, right now everyone's into that, subsidy from the government is always a good thing and stuff like that. But I think if you look at other governments as well, they don't really have that kind of subsidy thing going on. So that is the sort of mentality.
It distorts the economy. Right. It distorts the economy and doesn't make one hungry. Mm-hmm. You have to be hungry, very, very hungry. Only then you work harder, then you become competitive, then you become innovative. The greatest ideas come to one when we are in a very desperate mood.
Dire situation, yes.
In a dire strait, suddenly, let's do this, let's do that. If everything is fine, good, there's food always on the table, I think we're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that is the reason that the European economy is suffering. Because too much money, the bubble builds up, everything is
become
easy.
too comfortable.
Everybody wants high pay but low productivity. This is the danger. So we have to be very careful here.
Just very briefly, I mean, isn't that the kind of mentality we have currently at the moment?
I think in the world.
In the world.
It's not only here.
Prevalent all over.
It's spreading all over the world. You go to Europe sometimes. They don't open stores. We can. Some places you go.
They even close at 4
o'clock. I was in a small town in France once. At 4 o'clock, my wife wanted to buy something. It's closed. Mm-hmm. 4 o'clock. How can you close stores? We tend to close at 11 at night. But be careful. Remember, our office used to be 6 day a week. Then you went to 5.5.
5.5. Okay.
Then it's 5. Let's not go to 4.
Okay.
All right.
No,
because
we don't want to venture there. Definitely.
That is not good for the country.
Yeah, exactly.
As an individual, we tend to be very greedy. Yes, more time for this, more time for the family, but it's not good for the country.
All right. Well, we certainly hope that we go past that mentality at some point or another. I think we have somewhat or another, just long ways to go. Now, let's move away from talking about Mydin and talk about the Tukar program right now. Now, I know Mydin is sort of very involved in the...
passionate.
Yeah, passionate, okay. Yeah. Let me rephrase that. Passionate, about the Tukar program initiated by the Ministry of Domestic Trade, Cooperatives and Consumerism. So, could you explain just a little bit about Mydin's involvement in the Tukar program?
During the labs, when the NK labs were on, I was one of the participants in the lab.
Right.
One of the few CEOs who actually sat through the whole 2 months. I was there every day. I sacrificed my time. 2 months, but I learned a lot.